Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics, a podcast dedicated to exploring how things get places and the people who get them there. We'll talk with logistics and supply chain leaders about innovation, industry trends, and the future of the logistics business. Now, here's your host, Joe Lynch.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics podcast. My name is Joe Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is the competitive advantage with my friend David Bell and Peter Rentschler. How's it going, guys?
Good. Very good.
Great. Yeah, great to be on.
So, David Bell, please introduce yourself and your company, where you're calling from today.
David Bell, calling with Lean Solutions Group, nearshore service provider. The pioneers of nearshoring and logistics.
Yep. And what do you do over there?
I'm an advisor, more strategic level, Joe. I'm kind of at the high level. I'm advisor to the board and to the management team. Kind of semi-retired. I have 3 sons that work at the company too. So I kind of just hear more as a mentor and advisor.
So you're one of the founders, right?
One of the original founders, yes.
Damn, I would get that. I'd have that tattooed on my head if that was that was me.
A lot of people helped us be successful.
So David, what does Lean Solutions Group do?
For those that don't know, we're a nearshore service provider in Latin America. Provide back office and logistics, employee solutions, staff augmentation, tech staff augmentation, primarily in the transportation logistics industry.
And how many? So you do a lot of back office stuff, you do a lot of sales stuff, a lot of tech stuff, and I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. How many logistics and transportation companies do you work with?
Currently over 400.
Whoa. Whoa.
I think we have 19 publicly traded companies now. I think we're working with like 17 of the top 20. Just incredible. I mean, it's humbling what we've been able to do and what our customers have supported us. Like, it's crazy.
It's amazing how many. I talk to people every day on my podcast, and when I asked, "Do you work with Lean?" everyone says, "Yeah, I work with Lean." It comes up, I bet, once a week on my podcast. Well, yeah, we have people in Lean. So it is, and
it's helpful too because guys like Peter have promoted us all these years, like great people and credibility in the industry. And Peter's been a supporter of us for 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, and that's why we finally got our partnership together and said, now we're ready, let's go win together. And so it's all about the support of everybody.
We will talk about that. We will talk about that in a minute, Peter. Please introduce yourself and your company, where you're calling from, and tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, thanks for the intro and for having me on, and thanks for the kind words, David. So I'm the CEO of Metaphora. We do growth consulting and custom development for logistics, trucking, and supply chain businesses. And I'm calling in from Boulder, Colorado. And I like to think that we're in the business of helping other people do great things. When we work with our customers, we help them accomplish their growth objectives and ultimately drive more money to the bottom line. Our customers typically see a 5 to 25% increase in EBITDA after working with us.
Yep. And you guys have had the explosive growth. So many consulting, I look at you as a consulting company. I'm sure you do much more than that. It's such a big catch-all, but so many companies say, "Oh, I'm a consultant." So many people say, "I'm a consultant." And usually it's 1 or 2 guys. By the way, I've done that before. I've been a consultant and you got 1 guy, maybe a partner. You guys have a ton of guys now, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've been really, really fortunate that we have a lot of great customers like David that have trusted us with their business. And a lot of that has been the result of us bringing on really great team. And my background, I worked at Accenture, the big consulting firm, had a kind of a mediocre, I had a really great experience, but didn't like how they staff teams, particularly without expertise. And that's really our differentiator is we have folks like me that come from traditional consulting backgrounds. We have folks like my colleagues, Ryan and Adam and Rush and Robert and others that have spent 10, 15, 20 years in the industry. And then we have folks that have been building software for 20 plus years. And so we combine all of those to really great, actionable recommendations that are rooted in in kind of the real experience and challenges that transportation and logistics and supply chain businesses face.
And so today's topic is the competitive advantage with my friend David Bell and Peter Rentschler. What's interesting is I do a lot of podcasts, and sometimes people select a topic, and you go, "Well, are you the one we should even be talking to about this topic?" Right? Have you done it? Do you have the expertise? Do you have the experience? You guys have grown two sensational businesses. By the way, I should also say, Peter, you didn't say Metaphora, formerly Carrier Direct, so a lot of people might still not know you guys changed your name. These are two guys who have grown companies very rapidly. I think, David, I think you guys are on the Inc. 5,000 every year now, right? I mean, so when somebody says, I know the competitive advantage, you go, oh, what have you done? These two guys, they've been there, done that, got the hat. So let's talk a little bit about it. And then I want to talk, I know you guys have a partnership. We want to talk about that. Maybe we should do that first. David, why don't you tell us what your partnership is with Metaphora?
Sure, happy to do that. One is we're very excited about the partnership. As I said in the beginning, Peter and I and his team, Ryan, have been talking and collaborating for years. We just never formalized it into a formal partnership. And what we've done is we have, as I told you earlier, we had over 400 clients, and we probably have 200 of them have less than 10 people with us. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in Metaphora to help create a scale plan and create a vehicle in which our clients who don't have the bandwidth and the ability to focus their energy on moving to a nearshore plan, bringing in Metaphora as our logistics consulting arm to come in and give them that plan so we can help them. And if we could take 200 plus customers with 10 people or less and get them to be 20 or 30 people, it's a win. It's a huge win for us. It's a huge win for our clients because every body they put, every 10 bodies is $200,000 right to EBITDA, to the bottom line. And it's great for Metaphora because they're able to get in, create that relationship with us and our customers, and then add on the other consulting support these customers need and help to scale and have that plan and have that exit strategy or whatever their company mission is.
Excellent. Peter, so tell you, how are you leveraging this relationship? What does this relationship with Lean mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, as David mentioned, Lean Solutions has built incredible reach in the industry. And there are a lot of customers that are underutilizing their services. And I want to be clear that from my perspective, like, starting to use a nearshoring partner doesn't mean that you're firing Mary in accounting. What that means is that Mary in accounting that's currently doing low value add data entry, that job can be moved near shore, and then you can have Mary focus on a higher value add activity with your business. And that's where we come in. What we've been able to do is we can come in and look at a company over the course of a week and say, hey, these are areas of your business that we think could really benefit from using some nearshoring support. Here's what the revised processes would look like. And then we help them actually do that. We help them drive the change. We help train the new Lean Solutions folks. We help train the other folks from your company that are moving into new positions or roles. And so for us, it's been incredibly valuable because, Lean has brought us into a lot of accounts where they have established credibility. And then what we get out of it is we get the ability to continue helping, drive our mission forward, which is really helping this industry move forward and helping companies in the space run their businesses better.
Yep. And before we hit record, we were talking about this. We almost called this something about a partnership or the right partnership. And we were talking about, to be successful in this business, in this competitive advantage we're talking about, you need to go out and get tech partners. Is it the total solution to your business? Probably not. You also probably need to get carrier partners if you're a broker, right? We also need staffing partners. Solution Group, Lean Solutions Group is a perfect example. And you mentioned having a vision before we hit record, Peter. Some companies say, hey, we're growing, but do we know where we're going? Do we know what the plan is? Are we exiting in 5 years, or are we going to scale it over the next 20? So I think increasingly, there's resources out there. There's partners out there that you can get with to grow your business, whether you're in warehousing and fulfillment or over the road transportation or technology. It doesn't matter. You're going to need partners. And I think this is just what the industry's become. Partner up.
Yeah, I think that the space has become a lot more collaborative, and it's because, I mean, it's a cheesy line, and I hate to say it, but I mean, I think like lean and metaphor is a situation where 1+1 = 3. Like both of us have been able to deliver tremendous value to our clients independently, but when we work together on a business, like that business is in a better position than their peers, without a doubt, and that's I think what's been really exciting for me the shift that I've seen over the last 5 or 7 years in the industry is that I think that this space has always been very collaborative, but as the market gets more competitive, I think companies are recognizing that they need help and that there are ways to run their businesses better, and that's where metaphor and lean solutions really come into play.
And we talked about a few areas that if you want a competitive advantage, these are a few areas where it comes from. So let's first talk about vision. David, why don't you talk a little about vision, and then I want to get your 2 cents on it too, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, I think vision is like important. I mean, it's the mission statement of the company. It's what are you doing, where are you going, and since Peter's thrown out cliche statements to say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So what's your plan? What are you doing? Where are you going? How are you getting there? Is your team all in tune and in line with the plan? And having that vision, I think great visionaries always end up doing great. They have stumble along the way and have failures and failures and failures, and then next thing you know, they have success because they believe what they see. I've always been a big believer in vision something, feel it, believe it, and it comes true. My whole life, I've taught my kids that. Everybody know if I really believe something's going to happen, it just does. Like it's that simple. So, and it has to be organic, genuine belief. It can't be, oh, I believe I want to be rich. Okay, where is it? You know what I'm saying? You have to really believe. And I remember when I was, 16 years old working at a car wash, and Lexuses were the great cars back then. I'm driving the Lexus pretending it's mine. When I was driving a Honda Accord and the Honda sign, I used to pretend it was a Mercedes sign. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I just believed everything like I wanted to do. When I looked at my Timex, I pretended it was a Rolex, and material things. When I had kids, I envisioned what they're going to do when they're 18, 20, 25, and where I would be, what I would do for them. And here I am, delivered that and accomplished it because I just believed it and knew how things are going to end up. And that's the power of the mind and the spirit. If you really believe it and it's true, it happens.
Well, I think what's nice about that is you guys had a vision for Lean Solutions Group, and it wasn't just your vision; it was the vision that you breathed into a whole industry, really. Because what do you have, 7,000-8,000 employees now?
Well, it's a quick little snippet on that is when we started, I told Robert, my partner, and I wish he could have been on here too, because like there's no lean without him. And he said, when I told him we were going to get to 10,000 employees for 2 years, he looked at me like I was crazy. Like it'll never happen. I don't know why you keep saying that. I'm like, Robert, I say it because I believe it and it's going to happen. And then, and remember, I think it was like 18. I said, next year is going to be the year we get to 1,000 employees. And he's like, we'll be lucky if we get 600. I'm like, Robert, we won't. I'm arguing with accounting and Robert on our projections. I'm like 1,000. He's like 600. I'm like, fine, 600. We end up putting on 1,300 people that year. And so now when we did that, he's like, okay, I believe you, 10,000. Now I'm saying 25,000. And our new CFO, Joaquin's like, keep saying 25,000 because I think that's where we'll be in 3 to 4 years. We'll have 25,000 employees, and we'll have them not only in Colombia, Guatemala, and the Philippines, which we just opened. So, I think believing it. And now Robert absolutely believes. And ever since he's believed, like our growth is incredible. If you get the team and everybody to buy into that belief, I mean, you could do anything.
I've had lots of founders on my podcast, and it seems as if they all say something along the lines of, it's one thing to get your own vision, and we all have our own vision of what today and tomorrow is going to bring, but then to align a team around it and convince them and believe in it enough that they can convince people this is feasible. Here's how we're going to do it, and maybe not even know how you're going to do it, but anyway.
You never know exactly how you're going to do it, but you just know you're going to do it with your heart and soul. And people see that conviction and they buy into it. And once they buy into it and prove it, they're done. Like they believe, and you're going to get everything you want out of them in that belief.
Right. So if I said I have this vision, but I don't know how to get there, I just call Peter and say, Peter, I have this vision. So Peter, what do I need to do to talk about that
Sure.
vision?
Peter will bring the vision.
Well, these are, I mean, it's, I think this is a good example of where our companies are complementary and even like the ideals and how we think about it. Like, I agree that vision is incredibly important. And also, I'm with David on if failing to plan is planning to fail. And, what a lot of our clients and folks in the space we've seen kind of don't quite understand is how much the vision and your plans for the business impact decisions you're making today. So if your vision is to build $1 billion freight brokerage or $100 million freight brokerage or whatever it is over the next 5 years, like that changes the decisions you make about what technology you implement, how much of your business are you optimizing for growth versus cash flow. I mean, and so that's where I think all of this comes into play and becomes incredibly important, is really, what do you want to do with your company and who do you want to be when you grow up? Because that impacts the decision. Do you want to be the best CPG shipper in the space? Okay, cool. Then like that impacts the technology, the way that you structure your organization, the way you pay people, the processes, everything.
Yep. So I'll let you start on the second one. Before we hit record, we talked about a few things. First, we talked about vision. The second thing we talked about to be, what's the competitive advantage in the space? You said, well, tech's got to be on that list. So Peter, what do you mean with tech? I mean, obviously we hear freight tech, we hear lodge tech, we hear all sorts of buzzwords. And we were joking. I was joking about it before we hit record. I think that we see FOMO in our industry because there is some suggestion that some investments aren't getting an ROI. But people are like, I don't want to miss out. I was on FreightWaves and everybody's investing in AI. I want some. I don't know what it is. Get me some though. Get me ML too. So talk a little bit about freight tech.
And we tend to take a really practical approach to technology enabling logistics and freight businesses, which is like technology should be enabling business process that's been optimized as opposed to business process and organization being designed around technology. And I think that in and of it, like I've said this before and I'll say it again, I would rather have really crappy technology with a really optimized, efficient business or sales process than I would have the best technology with really inefficient process. And I think anyone who's ever operated a business would agree with that. And what we see people get distracted by the shiny object. We see people invest in technology that isn't aligned to the vision where they want to go. We also see people invest in flashy new technology when their core operating system is really weak. And what ends up happening is all of these things cost you money. You end up, instead of your carrier sales reps being able to cover 15 loads a day, they can cover 8 loads a day. You literally need twice as many people to do the same amount of work as a more optimized business. And so, that's where I see all of these things kind of converge, is that, inefficient selection, implementation, and management of technology ultimately costs you a ton of money across your business.
Yep. And by the way, there's just that I'll put a link to the PwC research. They talk about all the investments and all the shortfalls. There's plenty of them. And I want to touch about one thing, Peter, leveraging the tech for all it's worth. Many years ago, I did some benchmarking with Toyota and Chrysler. And at that time, Toyota was the very best. And I remember Chrysler was very interested. What tech are you using? And they were using last generation's tech, and they were looking and saying, "Well, wait, we use this," and Toyota's like, "Yeah, we've been looking at that for years. We're not quite ready yet." But who was getting the output?
Toyota was, because they're and I could not agree with that example more. I mean, and I would say, at the risk of, we certainly try not to come into businesses with predefined conclusions. We want to go in with an open mind to really explore what the reality is, because every business really is unique and different. And in our experience, like 9 times out of 10, we'll go in and do a technology evaluation where we look at all the technology that a business is using. And literally 9 times out of 10, what ends up happening is they're underutilizing the tech that they have by probably 40 to 50%. There's also other components of technology that they could buy off the shelf and bolt on that could fill in the gaps. And then a part of it too is they just haven't trained their people on how to use the technology. And usually it's kind of a combination. It's some combination of those three things. So anyway.
So David, I want to get your 2 cents on the freight tech. I know you guys have a lot of technologists working for you. So, David, I seem to have lost you. Yeah, try that again. So, David, you guys got a lot of technologists working for you, but you don't always jump. That's not your first solution. You don't jump. You're not so excited about your technology that you say, do this, because it's the new hype.
Yeah, we've tried to focus on our core, which I think like what business owners always should do, like understand what's in your wheelhouse and focus on that. Don't get distracted by a bunch of other exciting things to talk about. And so we originally started at Lean, we were going to be everything in technology, and we quickly figured out like our wheelhouse is staff augmentation. But we have built a lot of platforms. We built a capacity platform. We built information circulation platforms. But what we've done is we've gone in and taken their core system and done API bolt-ons around it for customer portals, because there's no one solution that fits everything. Like there's good products out there, but they're good products for your infrastructure and your core business, but they're terrible customer facing. They're good customer facing, but terrible, reporting. So like what we've done is we've gone out and built API bolt-ons of what the custom needs are, because these software companies don't want to do that. They price it through the roof. They say it's going to be a long time to do it. And so we've come in, and our niche has been to build those little portal platforms that bolt on to the systems little by little, so it's not a distraction and not a takeaway from your business trying to learn all this new software at one time, because that can seriously risk your whole entire company implementing an entire new software. Like you could put yourself right out of business. So it's risky. So that's what we've done is like do the bolt-ons and do it little by little.
Right. And I before we hit record, you were saying a lot of technology companies will come in and say, here you go. Here's this off the shelf solution, and you don't need anything else. But to Peter's point, they might be using that and only getting 50% or 60% of its
They're not using it in its entirety. I mean, listen, there's so many examples out there. I mean, I'll give Mercury Gate as the example. Like I was one of the first Mercury Gates back in 2009 or 10 when they launched it, users. And I thought I was going to spend 250,000 on it, and I was going to have the super platform of the century, and I am spending $1,250,000 on it, trying to get it right and get it working for all my clients. And I was never told, Dave, you're going to spend $1 million customizing it. Like they don't tell you all that. They bait you in, they suck you in, they get you stuck on it, and then you're stuck at their mercy. And what I think we've been able to do is come in and offer, as long as that TMS software offers an API connectivity, we've been able to solve those problems by building around it. And what we've done now with Metaphora is we brought them in to help more architect that stuff, because we don't have the time or manpower to go in and spend and architect it and spend the time in a company's office looking at everything they have. So now what we're hoping with Metaphora, they go in and do that, and then they can architect it. They can build up their team with Lean Tech, and we can continue doing those things in the industry, because I think they're very helpful, and I think they're good for everybody's business.
One of the things we were talking about before we hit record is robotic process automation. And I was telling a friend, I said, this is like a year ago, I said, you got to go Lean, get robotic process automation. I'm not a techie here, guys, so forgive me. But they were getting hundreds of emails per day inbound. And I said, you can have those emails put in a database. Some of them are probably need to all go in your TMS. And I said, you can free up your team. And I said, I think it pays for itself in 1 month. I think it's probably, I don't know, I don't want to quote prices, but I
think we actually give a bot away. I think Lean Tech has a free bot that does that. Like I think we give that. We built that bot like 3 years ago, and I think we give it away. If you don't have it, you want to look into it, reach out to Alfonso. But I mean, it's the simplest bot to use. It's like the simplest, most basic bot, the PDF reading, email reading, bot that can be built.
And by the way, that's implemented quick. And all of a sudden, your guys who are spending all day responding to email saying, yes, Peter, I can get that back to you in an hour. And then Peter says, thanks. And I'm like, you're welcome.
The worst thing you're doing for your employees is the anxiety. They don't even want to go to the bathroom because when they come back, they'll have 92 emails stacked up. So like literally bringing their phones in the bathroom to take a break or go to lunch, and they don't want to leave their desk because they come back to 50 emails they got to answer.
And by the way, we picked three areas we want to talk about. And I remember both of you said we could talk about 10 things that are the competitive advantage, but we talked about vision. We just talked a little bit about tech. And the last chunk I wanted to talk about is the whole idea of organization and people and talent. And that brings in the whole conversation with nearshoring. Peter, why don't you start on this one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like it's 2022. As much as we're seeing this kind of pending recession, and the stock market is crashing and so on and so forth, like people are still leaving jobs at record rates. It is the most challenging talent market I've ever had exposure to. I've heard from others that it's one of the most challenging talent markets ever. And if you don't have a proper, cohesive org people talent strategy, you're losing. Like you are in a position to lose. And what that means is really what's the organizational design and the breakdown of roles and responsibilities and who is doing what at the business. How do you pay, compensate, and incentivize those people? And then how do you who are the people filling those roles, and this is where nearshoring comes into play. What's the strategy, and which roles make the most sense to be done onshore, US based with W-2s versus which positions make the most sense to be done nearshoring to build operational leverage and scalability for your business. And I mean, from my perspective, if you haven't figured out the combination of those, you are in a losing position. You can have the best technology, the best process, everything. You can have the best customers, the best carriers, capacity providers, but none of that matters if you haven't figured out your people.
Exactly. And I will say this, I'm one of the youngest baby boomers. And if you grew up in my era, we'd say, well, when I was your age, blah, 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 whatever it might be, it doesn't matter anymore. That was a long time ago. It's a long time ago. So I think you have a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who are saying, well, when I was that age, I didn't expect that. Again, it's 2022, and we all raised our kids. Peter, David, you mentioned your kids are in your business. As we raised our kids, we said, hey, you can do anything. There's more resources. They're wealthier kids with more options than ever before. And not just kids, everybody. And I've said this many times before. I think we have to do a better job of keeping some of the baby boomers in the business, even if they only want to work 30 hours a week. Figure it out. We're going to need great talent. And I think we have to open our minds to the idea that that's a great gal and she wants to stay home with her kid half the week. Fine, I can work this out. That's a great guy. I don't want to lose him, but he wants to retire. I'll let him work 30 hours or I'll let him work 10 months a year, whatever it is. And I think we also have to open our minds to just like wrong way to say it. The companies that have opened their minds to nearshoring, I can almost assure you, are making more money than those who have not. So that leads.
And I would say,
go ahead.
But I would just add on, Joe, that like if you don't find a way to let that woman work from home half time because she's got someone else will. Like I can promise you, she's gonna leave. Like there has never been more mobility in the labor market than there is right now. People are working remotely. They're working all over the country, and if you're not finding a way to give your people what they want, whether it's leadership responsibilities or more compensation or more responsibility or whatever it is, someone else will. I know because everyone at our company gets a dozen job offers a week in their inbox, and they are literally sending the salary, compensation, job title in the first. It's in the title. It's like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's changed. So, David, talk a little bit about, first off, just having to open our minds to new employment models, but also talk about how nearshoring works into this equation.
So I think we've shifted to a global workforce. Like I literally think now it's not about hiring in your city or your state or from your college alma mater. I think we've moved to a global workforce where you can literally hire anybody in the world now. And that's what we're supporting. We're like supporting that concept and that move because it's happened. And, for us to go from pre-COVID 1,300 employees, in 2020, March of 2020 to now to 7,000 employees just proves that it's happening. And, if you don't adapt to that and like change, you have to adapt to change. Like, and one of the things with logistics and transportation, you mentioned baby boomers, the resistance to change, like it's like, no, they don't want to change the way they do things, but COVID has forced their hand to make them change. And once they've made the change, now, like always, it's like changing from the flip phone to the iPhone. I won't do it. Like once they do it, they'll never go back. And that's what nearshore is. It's like going from the flip phone to the iPhone because it just enhances your business so much. And give you even a quick example, like the smallest little thing. I go into brokerages all the time where they have, they all have customers they move lost leader loads for. They're $350, $500, brick loads or tile loads or water loads or canned food loads. And they got their guy that's their money maker. They're pounding away to cover this, begging carriers to do it. Meanwhile, he's covering another load quickly because he's got to do it. Just build a small team of lost leaders and watch somebody in Latin America fight to break even versus lose $100. In America, they lose 100 or 200 in load. They're like, good, get it done. Boom, it's not my money. And they're getting paid compensation like $10 or $20 just to do it and lose money. We've gone in so many times and created a loss leader carrier sales group down there where now they're fighting to break even. If they save $50, that's a huge amount of money to them. If they lose 100, it's like, oh my God, we lost $100. How can we do this? And that mentality shift, and then allowing your core people to focus on the big money loads here and take that work off them. You have a happier employee. They're working productive more. They're making you more margin on your better loads. And then you're training a training force in Latin America to build to where eventually they could do more and more. And then now you have a hybrid of carrier sales, which you need to be competitive. Carrier sales is one of the hardest positions to fill. It's like, in my opinion, it's probably one of the worst jobs in logistics, and you have to fill it and do it. And so like that hybrid approach is a huge advantage to companies.
Yep. And by the way, I should also mention this podcast is going to be edited by someone from Lean, Natalie, who works with me and works with Lean. And it's funny, it hit me. Somebody said to me, well, how do you work with somebody from Colombia? I said, I don't go to any meetings. I work from my home office. I have Zoom calls with her or Teams calls with her. Then I have Teams calls with people who live 40 minutes from me. I don't meet with them. So who cares anymore? The world has changed.
Yeah, our marketing has done really well. Yeah, marketing and it's amazing the copyright talent we've gotten down there, the graphic design talent we've gotten down there. Like it's incredible. And like there's a shortage of marketing people and logistics. You can't afford to have a full marketing department. You can't go out and spend 400,000 on a chief marketing officer and a graphic designer and all that unless you're trying to scale to $1 billion. I mean, most companies out there, like that's a huge ding to their bottom line when they have to do that. So the augmentation we offer at Lean Marketing has like helped a lot of companies, and like you said, helped you as well. And we got her for you. You didn't have to go out and interview and send resumes and do the process. We just said, here, see if you like her. If you like her, give her a shot.
I'll plus one that too. We have a full-time marketing person. Shout out Valentina. Thanks for everything you do for us. And we have also done project-based marketing work, video editing, graphic design with Lean, and it's incredible.
I've never had anybody complain when I connect them with Lean. They just always say, "Oh yeah, it's a no-brainer," because they got open jobs that they can't get somebody to take here, and then Lean, and then within a week, Lean says, "Interview with these 3 people for the job." You're like, seriously? You interview them one after another and go, "I like that one best." Is that it?
What's incredible what's incredible is like, it's great we can help clients. It's great we can make money and be profitable. What's more incredible is we're helping people in a third world country get better jobs, paying better. And like what that does for their families and them is like incredible value that comes back that like makes this business like so rewarding.
Yeah, and by the way, I always use this as example of Ireland. In Ireland, they had a great workforce. They spoke English, just like the people in Colombia. We put our back office banking, our back office tech there for a while, and now they're a banking center and a tech center. And it's probably the most expensive place in Europe to live right now. So they aren't the back office anymore. So Colombia and all these places, it isn't just cheap people for doing a bad job. It is anything but. Anything but. Anyway, we got a hard stop in a few minutes. So I'm going to summarize this. I want to get final thoughts on it real quick. So we talked about the competitive advantage, and it's having a vision, it's having this technology, and I would say a technology partner, and then also this idea of organization, people, talent, and nearshoring. We need to start looking at. I need a tech partner. I also need a staffing partner, a solutions partner, because again, I think we've gotten used to the idea that the carriers are my partners. Just extend it. So, Peter, final thoughts.
Oh man, final thoughts. Final thoughts would be that this is going to be I think that the next couple of years are going to be bumpy in this space. Like market factors are a part of that, deflationary rate environment are a part of that. I also think that part of the reason why it's going to be bumpy is because the businesses that have invested in operational efficiency and optimization in their business and technology are starting to see the ROI of those. And what's going to happen is over time, like we've all talked about rates and margins, particularly in brokerages, but rates for carriers driving down, because the reality is, theoretically you're pulling costs out of the business by optimizing it. And so I would just really, really strongly encourage everyone or anyone to take a hard look at your business and think about what are you doing to prepare for the future? Because if you're not actively thinking about that, you're planning to fail.
David Bell, final thoughts on this topic.
I mean, I would say if you're a lean client and you don't feel like you're getting the full value out of lean, hit us up, because we're in a good partnership with Metaphora, and we've even gone above and beyond with our clients to say we'll send them in on our dime if it helps you scale to a certain amount of people. So like the one we just did a huge customer. We contracted Metaphora to go up there with us to our customer to help them grow from 5 to 25 people. And so that's, it's you could potentially get Metaphora for free and get their advice and their playbook on how to scale and transition your company to get the full benefit of nearshoring and tech. If your plan is to scale and to get your business, as efficient and your processes and, in place to be able to withstand the bumpy roads ahead of you, because you got to pick the pennies up in times like this. It's not, you got to watch the pennies.
And I should also mention, I talk to consulting companies all the time on here. A lot of them are now opening up logistics sector, transportation sectors, which is great. But the carrier direct people, Metaphora, I'm sorry, the old carrier direct, that's where they come from. And I've always disliked the idea of consultants coming in and trying to learn the business for $400 an hour on your dime. That's not what I want.
Well, you don't need to go to a big consulting firm to get their division of expertise and overpay. Like you have a whole company and that's the best in the industry that understands it, and you go right to them. So, the Accentures and the KPMGs are going to charge you a fortune to give you their experts when Peter has all the experts and understands it all. Like, I don't think there's anybody better.
All right. So before we go, David, what's new over at Lean Solutions Group?
What's not new? Probably, all of our partnerships and the Lean Alliance we've been working on with SimTrain, which is an incredible AI training tool we've launched a few months ago. If you don't know about that, ask us with Text Locate and Ryan Rogers.
Is that for sales? What is that for? What kind of training?
It does everything: sales, customer service, carrier sales. Like we have a great simulation on carrier sales that literally trains your people. You don't have to sit there and listen to them make 100 calls. But we don't have a lot of time, so I know Peter has to hop off, but I'd say our partnerships in the Lean Alliance with SimTrain, Text Locate, Cassandra's company, Carrier Shore, who am I forgetting? And Metaphora, of course. I think that's what's new. It's creating that lean alliance. If you're part of the lean family, like, we're going to open up all these things to you as that add value to your business.
Well, it's just what I said earlier. The industry is all collaborating. It's all getting partners, and the reason they're not getting it just because you like to hang. It's because they can all add value in new ways, and that's what's going to be expected from our customers. So, you guys are opening some new offices. Tell us a little bit about that, David.
Yeah, we've opened the Philippines to help with night and weekend coverage, because that's during the day over in the Philippines. It's worked well. We've already hybrided many of our clients. So if you have a night and weekend shift, reach out to us to talk about hybriding. It's working really well in the Philippines. And we open up Guatemala just so we can expand our footprint. We'll be looking at opening up most likely Guadalajara, Mexico at the end of the year. So that's just to diversify and make sure we're keeping up with the talent requests.
Fantastic. Peter, what's new over at Metaphora?
Yeah, lots of things. David, I think David's already sufficiently plugged our partnership with Lean. But I would say two things to hit on. We're continuing to do tons and tons of work related to M&A, corp strategy, like helping people look at their acquisition strategy. We're doing diligence deals. We're helping with integrating companies after buying them. It's probably a third of the work that we're doing across our business right now. So that's been new and exciting and getting a lot of interest and traction. And then the other would just be, I don't know if it's new, but certainly something that I would point at, that I just want to recommend is, we do free, we offer free consulting and free discovery sessions where basically, we'll set up a 30 or 60 minute meeting with one of our industry experts and just talk through your business. And if we can give you some advice in 30 or 60 minutes that helps you change your business, that's great. We're not going to charge you for it. You probably didn't really need our help. Our value comes in actually really driving the change. And so anyway, I would highly recommend y'all to go to our website, look at and sign up for a free discovery call. It's synced up with our team members and industry experts calendars and so on and so forth. So,
well, that's fantastic. By the way, I have to mention Ryan Schreiber. Otherwise, he'll complain that I didn't mention him on the podcast.
We love Ryan.
He'll bitch. He'll go,
Ryan's
you
great.
guys did a podcast. You didn't mention me. So anyway.
We'll do another one with Robert and Ryan. Get Robert and Ryan.
Yeah, we'll do another one.
Too.
Yeah, we'll have Robert and Ryan on, the other dynamic duo. Ryan can talk about his beard and all the things happening in Austin.
I would love that. I'm going to see him in Austin in October.
Nice.
Anyway, this was fantastic. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. What I'll do is I'll put a link to in the show notes to your LinkedIn profiles, also to any of the marketing assets that you guys give me, so we can reach out and talk to you guys. And I really appreciate you taking the time. This is not advice from someone who hasn't done it. These are guys who have done it at their own companies and done it for their clients. I see so often there's consultants out there and providers who say, "Hey, I can do this, this, and this for you," but you're like, you haven't done it for yourself.
Well, the cobbler's kids have the worst shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys have grown great companies, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, David.
Yep. And thank all of you for listening to my podcast. Your support's very much appreciated. Until next time, onward and upward.
You've been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage in conversation with experts in the logistics field. For more details, visit thelogisticsoflogistics.com or follow Joe Lynch on LinkedIn.